So welcome to the lecture 13 of machine learning course. And this is the concept learning that we are going to continue from the last class. So it is, you can say that the part 2. Today is the 15th February. So let us start, and I would briefly, very briefly go at what we have done in the last class, and then we can continue and build upon that. So we were talking about something called the concept learning, and the idea was this, that there is some function, concept function, where some C1, C2, C3, lot of functions are there, so a lot of Cn functions are there, and you have a database, and that have attribute, for example, x1, x2, dot x, and attributes you have. So you lot of attributes you have, and this function is of this particular nature that if you supply, for example, any function, pick any function and supply the values of x1, x2, dot xn, then you would be getting a value that is called, we call it y. Let's assume that we call it y, and that y is actually the prediction, maybe something about that we want to find out a target value, and this y is actually the target value. So for our understanding is this, that somebody picked a particular ci, and let me say that God has picked this particular thing, and we don't know that which particular functions are there, neither we know that what is the kind of functions here are. We don't know about that, but what is given to us, that this particular database is given to me, where this y value is already being computed by this. Let's assume that being computed by this is available to us. Now our task is to find out that which how can what is this particular function. So this is our fundamental questions. We always say that whenever I'm going to come up with such a function, it is going to be called a hypothesis, and let's assume that we also have a set in which lot of hypothesis function are there, h1, h2, dot h. Okay, lot of functions are there, and we are going to pick a particular one that is going to satisfy this particular database maximally. So here, what is the meaning of the concept? Concept means this particular function. This particular function is called the concept. What is the meaning of the learning? That determining that which particular function it is, and in our space, in our hypothesis space, finding out the best one is the concept, is the learning part. We have seen a particular database in the last class that only 4 items were here, and out of these available things, attributes we have selected was wind, water, forecast, sky, air temperature, humidity, and they can pick some values, and using those values we have actually constructed this kind of database. Let's assume that this is a database we have. This is exposed to us. Now we have seen that we are going to construct this hypothesis function in a very specific way, where for every attribute there is something being specified. For example, in our case, 6 attributes are there, so we have 6 places to specify. At a particular place, either we specify a value or the question mark or the phi. 3 things we can, any of these values we can say, and this is our assumption. And what do I mean by that? Values could be from this particular set. For example, if I say that I'm going to utilize the first one, so sky, then sunny, cloudy, and rainy could be a value over here. And similarly, here also, everywhere you can specify some value. Our assumption is this, that a function defined in such a way, hypothesis function defined in such a way, if it is defined, then any item that satisfy all the constants would give the value y is equal to 1. We are also assuming that 0, 1 is the output, y, the value of y, target value is going to be 0, 1. And this is pretty straightforward and pretty general. And if you are having the more classes, then we can use one versus all approach to actually fall to this particular category, and then we can solve that particular problem also. Okay, so here is an example of this particular kind of function, where the question mark, cold, high, question mark is given to us, and now we want to find out what is the classification of a particular item. So question mark, cold, high, question mark. Okay, this is what it is, cold, high, question mark. So let me see that it was cold, high, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. This was the hypothesis. Let us try to find out what this hypothesis would give us for this particular data. Here, the first value is sunny. That is fine with us because we have written the question mark. Here, warm is there. Here, it need cold. Therefore, the answer is going to be no by this hypothesis. Second one, let me see that it is sunny and it need colds. So here also it is going to say no. Here also it is going to say here also, because everywhere there is nowhere cold. Okay, because the sky is sky, the first value that is going to be sky, told as a sky, is never going to have the value cold. Therefore, everywhere it is going to say, this particular hypothesis is going to say no. You can see that if somewhere, for example, so I think I'm wrong, sir. I'm very, very sorry. I think I have done the mistake. Okay, I'm very sorry. So I think this is a learning for you, that don't get very fast. What happens now? For example, this is a question mark. So actually, I don't care about this. Whatever the value is there, I'm satisfied. The second value is cold. So I need to find out the cold over here. You can see that cold is here, so it is satisfied. Second, this second value is high, so I'm also satisfied with this. And I'm not satisfied with these values. I'm not satisfied with these values. So third values, because there are the question mark, so I'm not very much care about. I'm not caring about them. So ultimately, what happens, that it says that at this particular place, at this particular line, it says what? Because everything is satisfied, it says yes, and otherwise just say no, no, no. Uh, Everybody is okay with this? Okay. Don't get confused with the previous explanation. I think I just missed this particular part. Is it clear? Yeah, say yes, Sashwat. Yeah. So this is what the output is. So if you want to, if a given hypothesis, you want to find out what is the prediction. In this way, you find out what is the prediction. So since we know this, let me remove this everything and try to just focus on the output. So in this output, you know that four things we have evaluated, and out of them, how are correct. So you can see that yes, no, therefore this is a problem. Yes, no, there is a problem. No, yes, there is a problem. Yes, no, everywhere there is a problem. Okay, so accuracy is 0%. This particular thing has 0% accuracy. Let's assume that at some place it may have, for example, we can come up anything else that give you, for example, here it gives yes. Then what would have been accuracy? 25%. So you understand this, that we can, how we define this particular hypothesis function, and how we can use this function to evaluate on the complete database, how we can tell that what is the accuracy of this particular hypothesis. Multiple hypotheses are there. We want to find out the hypothesis which have the highest, largest accuracy. So you know that because we are specifying two value. So if we can say that instead of high, if we put question mark, it would be another hypothesis saying that question mark cold question mark question mark question mark question mark, and this would be more general. So I think it is better to understand that this is more specific. There are two words, general and specific. So if I specify more, I think you can remember in this way. If I specify more, it is more specific. So it is, if it is more specific, less general. Make sense? So if I give you two hypotheses, that for example, this hypothesis and this hypothesis, which is more specific, this is more specific because it has one more value that has been specified. So if you don't specify anything, then therefore you keep generalizing, and this is the most general hypothesis. All the question mark is the most general thing. If we want to specify, the first you would specify the value here, and after specifying all the values, you say that I would not take anything. You put a y over here. Okay. So most specific hypothesis is one that contains all the phi's. In the last class, we have seen a very interesting kind of theory that tells that what is inductive learning hypothesis. So you know that you want to do inductive learning. What do I mean by inductive learning? You know that in our database space, in your complete space, the database is only given is only a small portion of the thing are given to you as a database, but you want to get generalized, and this is called induction. Means you are learning here, but you want to get generalized. You want to be getting generalization, and you want to generalize over there. I have told you in the last class that let's assume that a new data item is coming. For example, if a new data item is coming, and let's assume that let's assume that this data was given to you, and you come up that this some hypothesis H is okay for you. If a new data item is coming, for example X, you would be using Hx to tell that what is the value of Y. Everybody is okay with this? But please note that if this item is here inside the database, then you should not use this hypothesis function. Why? Because for that thing, the things are given. So you should not use this. What does it mean? It means that you are learning only to understand that what is the target value for the things which are actually outside your scope. So inductive learning hypothesis, the assumption that throws to you is this, that only thing that you know about what you know about the things, only this database. So if you want to make this function good, you can only make it good on this. But since know that our purpose is not to use this function on this, however, what you can do, you can only do this thing, that you can, your hypothesis function is better on this. So this is a very weird kind of problematic scenario where I'm telling that your hypothesis, you want the hypothesis to be good on here, but you don't have any handle on that. You have only this particular part. So your hypothesis, what best you can do is to make your things better over here. Okay, so the best that you can do, that you can only think that the training data your hypothesis is good. That is the only thing you can do. And now the very important hypothesis comes that we have seen in the last class as a final thing, that that says that if sufficiently large set of training examples is given to you, means if this out of this, if this particular set is not very small, it is sufficiently large, then the hypothesis that you are going to come is going to generalize over here. Make sense whether this line is clear? It is telling that if you are using sufficiently large chunk, sufficiently large number of example, then whatever hypothesis you are come up with is going to generalize. So what is the basis of this? We have discussed in the last class that what happens, that that if we plot model complexity, means how complex our model is on the x-axis. On the y-axis, if we plot that what is my error when I train my this particular model, then what is going to happen? So you can think that if you're, let's assume that your model complexity is this and you are going to have this error. So if you use the model complexity, if you increase the model complexity, means your model becomes more capable, then the error would be smaller. You are thinking in that particular direction, you can think in that thing. So your error is going to reduce in this particular way. So on the training thing, error is going to reduce in this particular way. Any problem on that? However, we have seen that there is a point when this particular error becomes zero, and this is a very interesting point. This is a very interesting point when your complexity of your model, is actually equal to in data size, then this happens. This happens only when your complexity of the model is equal to the data size, then it happens. Because ultimately it actually says, it actually, you can think in that way, that number of parameter is equal to the data items. You can also think that when I'm going to increase the model complexity, means what? I'm increasing the number of parameter. If the number of parameter are equal to the data size, then every different data parameter, every parameter is going to may use the data itself. Na? If number of parameters are so much that they are actually equal to the data items, then every parameter may be a data item. Then therefore at that case the output, the error becomes zero, because now you can find out a training where the error could be zero. But on the training side, if you analyze the training side, initially the error is going to reduce, then after that error is going to increase. And why it is going to increase? There is a very settled notion that we call that it is increasing because now it is this particular place. What is going to happen? There is a thing called overfitting. This is overfitting. So generally, we don't want to increase our model complexity beyond this particular point. These things are very important to you. Please ask the question if you have any doubt. Okay, so we don't want the model complexity beyond a particular point. Therefore, ultimately we want very simplified models. Okay, so that we are into this particular region. So let me tell you this particular very important thing. This particular algorithm says sufficiently large set of training examples are provided. If the sufficiently large set of training examples are provided, what would happen? If data size is very large, okay. So my question is, can you have model complexity as D? Can you have, my question is, can you have the model complexity? But here I was telling now, error is zero only because your model complexity is equal to database size. My question is, My question is that if my data size is very large, then can you make the complexity model complexity to the data size? Answer is yes. Elodie, can you tell me? Atharva? Yes, because I can, because it is in my hand. Now I can increase the model complexity to whatever number. If the number of data examples, whatever number of data example is given to you, I can increase my model complexity to that. Everybody is agreeing on that. I can increase the model complexity. But actually, this is the point where you should focus. The answer is no. Let me tell you why. The answer is no, because if you are increasing the model complexity, what would happen? That you have to invest a lot of processing power to learn. If you want to learn, then if your model is very complex, then you have to invest more processing power. So whatever in processing power we have is only finite. For example, some amount, that is means maximum you can only increase to that particular thing. After that, you cannot increase the model complexity. But having one more data item is not that difficult. Having one more data item is not that much difficult as compared to the increasing the processing power, because you know that we are limited by the processing power. In every year, in every time, we were limited by the processing power, that how much processing power was available to us. Make sense? So the answer that you are telling yes is actually no, because you are limited by your capacities. So you cannot increase this model complexity arbitrarily large. However, number of increasing the number of data examples is not that much difficult. It is also difficult, but that not that much difficult, and it's very easy as compared to increasing the model complexity. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me? Yeah. So what would happen that now if the sufficiently large number of training examples are given to you, means what? That D is very, very large as with the model complexity. If the D is very large, then if the D is very large, then you know that this particular thing where this weird thing and overfitting happens, this happens when your model size is actually equal to this particular data size. Then you are not into that particular area. Make sense? It means that if the sufficiently large number of data examples are given to you, if sufficiently large number of data training examples are given to you, then you are not into this particular area. Make sense? Where overfitting happens, then you are not into that particular area where overfitting happens. Then you are into this particular area. You are into this particular area, and in this particular area, what happens that if the training error decreases, if the training error decreases, testing error also decreases. So this is what the proof is. So it is very important thing that you should understand, that essentially we are focusing on the lower side of efficiency versus model complexity plot because of the sufficiently large set of training example. So this is an important thing that I wanted to tell over here, that if you have large number of data examples, then you can go ahead with that. There is a question. Let me read. D represent the number of training examples. Yes. Yeah. When I write the this, it means that it is number of training examples. Make sense? Okay. So we want to find out concept. Ultimately, what is our target? That lot of a hypothesis is, let's assume that the hypothesis lot of functions are given to me in my hypothesis space. Lot of functions are there. I want to find out that which particular function is good to me. Then one idea is to have the search, means one by one you search. Okay, concept learning can be viewed as a task of searching to the largest space of the hypothesis. Okay, so ultimately our task is to search that which is the appropriate hypothesis. Make sense? What is concept learning? Because we know that a lot of functions are there. We want to find out that which is the best suitable thing. So a small bit of just uh, computations. You know that the enjoy sports learning task contains three, because you know that the first item. Let me go there. What is this three? The first item can have three values. Second item can have two values. Then two values. Then two values. Then two values. Then two values. So six things were there, na? in our database. So we have seen that how many training examples are possible. Let me, if we want to find out that how many training examples are possible. So you know that there was one thing, there was one item that has the 3 values and all other have the 2 values only. Okay, so total number of x means items which are possible are, so this is 3 multiplied by 2. We have also done in the last class that total number of training examples is this. Anybody have any problem? 1 2 3 4 5 6, total number of 96 x are possible. Any problem? Yes or no? No problem. I'm talking about with respect to my data. No problem. Okay. So these many number of distinct instances are possible. However, you know that if you want to make a hypothesis at this place, either you can put the value and 3 values are possible, or you put question mark, or you put 5. So 3 choices you have. So how many how many syntactically distinct hypotheses you can form? So here you can put how many values? 5 values. Here you can 4 value, 4 value, 4 value, 4 value, 4 value. So you can see that in your hypothesis, 5,120 hypotheses are possible. Can you see this? Examples are 96, but the hypothesis can have these many number of functions. You see that what is large number. Make sense? Yes? Yes? Okay. However, you know that there are possibility of question marks and fali also. And if you use phi, then all other cases, whatever you put is going to be actually rejected. So whenever you are going to use a phi, if you use one place or two place or all the places, they are going to actually represent the same kind of hypothesis that always gives no. Makes sense? Because phi says that I will not accept any value at this particular place, at that particular place. Okay. So what happens that this phi is very interesting thing. So whenever there is a single phi, it says that all the values are actually no. All the values are actually, all the y's are actually no. So many of these 5120, when there is a phi, they contain phi, they are actually same hypothesis. They are not a different hypothesis. So if we want to see that how many semantically different hypotheses are possible, if we want to find out how many semantically distinct hypotheses are possible, so we can just count for, if you have a phi, we can say that all those things are one. And then I say that here either I put the value or I put the question mark and see that how many such things are possible. And then I add one that is for all the things which actually contains the phi. So total number of different hypotheses that are possible are actually 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3, and this number comes out with 973. So you have seen that however these many number of hypotheses are possible, but the things which are actually different are only 973. Okay, they are 973. Make sense? Yes or no? Make sense? Now, in this particular space, you have to find out that which particular hypothesis you want to go. So one way could be that out of so many hypotheses are there, and if you want to find out which one is most suitable, so one by one you evaluate all of them. Okay, and give me that this one the best. This is the best one. Sir, could you please explain 793? Okay. Okay, once again, let me tell you. I'm sorry, looks like that there is some problem happening over here. So Miloni, is it clear that I was telling that in your hypothesis, if I put phi anywhere, at how many places I can put phi? 6 places. 6 places we have. I can put phi anywhere. So if I put a phi, then this particular thing would not accept any value over here. But your item would have that particular value. So what would happen that if you supply any of the value, this hypothesis is going to say no, 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 no for all such examples. Miloni, is it clear or not? This part is clear. So all those hypotheses are actually one hypothesis. Whenever there is a phi inside, then all those hypotheses are one. So let me for a moment, let me say that I'm not going to put phi into at this particular place. I'm going to put either value or question mark. Okay, then how many hypotheses you can create using only question mark or a value? Then three values were possible. Then you say that 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied, because two values are there and one is a question mark, as we have make here 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these many number of hypotheses I can create. Okay, with the what, either value or question mark. And there is one more hypothesis that always says no, and there are multiple ways we can form it, but semantically means meaning wise they are same, because they are giving 0 to everybody. Okay, so meaning wise they are same. So number of hypothesis is this value plus 1. Is it clear, Melanie? Okay, so therefore 973. All right. So I was telling that if in our space, if I want to find out that, give me a hypothesis, one way that you evaluate one by one, then, but however it is going to take a lot of time. So what I can do, that I can apply I can utilize a nice structure that is called general to specific ordering to do that thing. What is general to specific ordering? So we have few minutes back talked about this. It's not a new concept for you. For example, if I say this hypothesis, Sunny question mark, strong question mark, and I say that Sunny question, and I say that H1 and H2. So which is more specific? Write down. Which is more specific? Who is specifying more? H1. H1 is more specific. H1 is more specific. Who is more general? H2 is more general. So I am going to use this thing, this idea. Okay. If it is more general, then the places for which it was telling no, there would be some cases where it was telling no. For those also places, it is also going to say yes. Okay, means this general one gives more s, more yes. It gives more yes. Okay, so we say in this particular setting, as you have just told me, that we say that H2 is more general than H1. So there is a mathematical notation also. We can use this simple notation just to say that Hj is greater than Hk, means this is more general, where G is specified general. Means what? That for all the x, if you put any item, if k, this one, if it is going to tell 1, then this is also going to tell 1. So what would happen? Ultimately, if you want to say that, let me tell you that if this hypothesis is going to say yes, this is also going to say yes. Make sense? If I say that H2 is more general than H1, it is written as H2 is more general than H1. Am I right? Okay, we write in this particular way. H2 is more general than this. So it says that if H1, this definition says that if K, this one is here, if this says yes, then the second one also says yes. Here you can say that if this says yes, then H2 also says yes. So I can write H2 is greater than equal to H1. Make sense or not? Who is more general? Is it clear? That if this, and this is nothing more than this, that if the HK is telling yes, then HJ is also telling yes. That's it. It is giving more yes. So don't get confused with the things that are not that much important. The way you have understood is perfectly fine. So sometimes you may also be thinking that there is a something called equality. Can I remove this equality? So you can remove the equality. If Hj is greater than Hk, but Hk is not greater than Hj, then you can say that equality is not there. That is also not a different thing. Okay, then sometimes we also say that Hg is more specific instead of general. We sometimes we want to say the specific. Then we can say that if H1 is more general than H2, then we can say that H2 is more specific than H1. So this is the same thing, nothing different. So by this, actually, what happens that you in your space, that is a very important thing I'm going to tell. In your space, actually, if you have a hypothesis, then you can find out this is more general, this is more general, this is more general, this, and therefore you, from this hypothesis, you can move from one place to another and reach to this particular hypothesis that is actually most suitable for your data, without evaluating all of the hypotheses. So this is an interesting idea that actually is a lot of hypotheses are there, but you actually find out the suitable hypothesis without exploring all of them, by just starting from the most specific one, and you keep generalizing. Generalization means telling more peoples to the yes, means relaxing the condition, and then by relaxing condition, you are going to include all those examples for which I am going to be okay. So this kind of idea you can utilize, and you can find out the hypothesis most very quickly. So one such algorithm, one such method is called the FindS. FindS is a method that actually gives you this kind of understanding. Make sense? So let me tell you that how this algorithm goes. Okay. So what is the setting? A database is given to you. A database is given to you, and you want to find out that which is the most suitable hypothesis. It says that initialize S to the most specific hypothesis. Which is the most specific hypothesis? Phi, 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 phi. This is the most specific hypothesis. Okay. For each positive training example, what is that? For example, let's assume that initially you started by all the five, and for each positive example, let's assume that a one data example comes, that is this: sunny, warm, normal, strong, warms, same is positive. Let's assume that a positive example came to you. In your database, in your database, there is an example, and I am showing this example over here. Okay, this is example. So whether this hypothesis would be fine? My question is whether this hypothesis would be fine. Answer is no, because this hypothesis says no to everybody. Now I have an example for this. This should say yes. So how can I accommodate this? Says that for each positive training example, what you do, each attribute contains hi in h. Do constraint hi is not satisfiable by hn, then replace hi by the next more general constraint that is specified by h. What do I mean by this? I mean by this, you try to relax it in such a way so that your hypothesis is going to give me positive on this. So I say that if I put because this was available to me, sunny, warm, normal, strong, warm, same. I say that this is sunny, this is warm, this is strong, this warm and same. If I put all these things over here, so my hypothesis becomes this. So if this is the hypothesis, 1 minute. If this is the hypothesis, what would be the output of this hypothesis on this training data? Once again, let me ask the question. If I remove everything, let me, so that it's clear to you. So my question is, this is the hypothesis. Everybody okay? What is the output of this hypothesis on this training example? +1 or -1, plus or 0, positive, any 0, 1, what you say that 0 or 1? Can anybody tell? We have solved it earlier, na? 1. Okay, everybody is going to be 1, because if this is the hypothesis, then it would match that sunny, warm, normal, strong, warm, same, everything is matched. Therefore, output is going to give yes. So I'm fine. So instead of using this hypothesis, you should use this hypothesis. Whether this is fine to you, fine to everybody? Yes. Okay. So let me assume that one more training example is coming to you. This, where sunny, warm, high, strong, warm, same, it is positive. So I'm telling that all the positive example, what you have to see, that your hypothesis should say positive. So let me test that whether this hypothesis, my hypothesis, current hypothesis, which is my current hypothesis. This is my current hypothesis. Whether it's what this gives. Sunny is there, warm is there, high becomes normal, so there is a problem. Strong becomes strong, warm becomes warm, same becomes same. So here is a problem. So this would say no if here it is normal, then it would say no. So I would say that I'm going to put here what question mark. So new hypothesis is this, that sunny, warm, question mark, strong, warm, same. I'm going to use this hypothesis. And tell me this about this hypothesis. You just can you consider this hypothesis on the two training examples? What this is going to give you? This example also it is going to give you +1. On this also it is going to be +1 R1. Okay, make sense? Yes, great. So in this way, I am going to modify. What I am going to do, that whenever a new training example is coming, for example, next training example is coming, that rainy, cloudy, high, strong, warm, this is negative. I am not caring about, because negative is always given by my hypothesis. I don't care about that. I say that in negative, then I'm not going to modify myself, because I tell yes for the yes thing only I should include. So the same thing remains, same hypothesis remains. Okay. Okay. Next hypothesis. Next example comes sunny, warm, high, strong, cool, change. Okay, this came. This example came. So let us once again try to find out. But what is my hypothesis? This is my hypothesis. Sunny, fine. Warm, fine. High, question mark, fine. Strong, fine. Cool becomes warm. Change becomes same. So two places I have a problem. So again, what I would do? Can anybody suggest what I would do? Here I would put what? Question mark. I would put question mark. Two question marks are here, and the remaining thing is fine. So all the three positive example, my this hypothesis is going to give me positive. What we have done, we have seen that in the hypothesis space there is a ordering, that if you start from the specific, you can come down with every training example, that in your instance space, you are only, there are positive and negative training examples. For every training example you are going to come from the more specific to, you are going to be general, you are going to generalize your things, and the place where you stop is the place actually that is the suitable hypothesis for you. This is a good way to find out hypothesis. Yes or no? Is it a good way to find out the hypothesis right function? So this class is important because it tells you that a lot of hypotheses were there. How to find out a particular hypothesis means how to, a right function. How can you explore it? So you can see that I'm not exploring all the things. Only a subset of the things I have explored, and I am able to find out the right function. Make sense? Tell me. Only subset of the things I have explored, and I was able to find out that what is the right function. Okay. Any questions here? So sir, this will be the end result mostly for the large data set. Saswat is very good into Saswat, your question is very good. But what I wanted to tell you that mm, that it is just a toy example. Okay, maybe we can see that for the general things, if you are going to apply, then the things would be more taken care of different with a different kind of attributes. So right now we are only going to see a small example where the things should also change so that you can understand. Yes, your idea is good. Idea is perfectly right that mostly we would be reaching to the all the places there would be question mark only. But I'm telling that it's a toy example only. Okay, makes sense. Sorry. Okay. So, Sashwat, this is the only the thing that I wanted to tell you, that in this process, this is a process. What this particular slide want to tell, that this is the process in which actually you can include more things. If you understand this, then other things would also be explored later. That how we can avoid to not make everything question mark. All the things will come later. Make sense? Okay. So all right. So find us is a, everybody, can you tell me that this is a good algorithm? Yes or no? Yes or no? I told you that you need not to explore all the things, only few things you are exploring and you are getting the result. Is it a good algorithm? Yes, it is a good algorithm. Okay. So it provides a way to use more general than partial ordering to organize the search, and we have organized our search. It guarantees to output most specific hypothesis that contains the positive training examples, all the positive training examples it contained over there. But there is a problem. The problem is this, that there is no way to determine whether it has found the only hypothesis, because if I change the order of the training examples, I may reach to something else also. So, and that would also be fine. There is no problem in that. There could also be possible that means if there are there could be multiple. What look, the point is that there could be multiple hypotheses. Let's assume that H1 and H2, there are two hypotheses which are consistent with my data. Let's assume that two hypotheses are there. This algorithm is going to give you one such hypothesis, but for others, whether there exists any other thing is not clear from this. Maybe there exists, but it is not clear to us that whether there other exist or not. If we want to find out all the hypotheses which are good with my database, and this set is has a special name called version space. So there is a version space is name of the set that contains all the hypotheses which are actually consistent with my data. So if the more things are there, how can I find out all of them? Again, there is a problem. This is not done by this. Okay. So if let's assume that there are multiple hypotheses that are satisfying to me. Okay. So it is not clear that whether we should prefer this hypothesis over others, because I have this algorithm gives you this hypothesis. However, multiple other hypotheses are also available. So why I'm using this hypothesis? Can I use this hypothesis also? These things are actually questions. And was one of the most problematic thing is this, that if the training example will contain some errors or the noise, then it can severely mislead the finders, and therefore we would not be able to find out the right answer. So these are the some problems. These are the some characteristics and problems associated with the finders, because you know that all the examples we have seen, that we are assuming that everything is right. But if there is some small changes, then for those things, this algorithm may give you the not the right thing. Make sense? So another approach comes, and this approach is very much similar. You have heard about a story, बिल्ली के गले में घंटी कौन बांधेगा? You have heard about this? That there was a cat who was eating rats. Then every rats has a meeting, and they decided that somebody would बिल्ली के गले में घंटी बांध देगा, tie the घंटी, and then what would happen? That बिल्ली आएगी, पता चल जाएगा, हम लोग भाग जाएंगे, है ना? बट बिल्ली के गले में घंटी कैसे बांधे? तो आइडिया जो अभी हम डिस्कस करने वाले हैं, ये वही है, इंटरेस्टिंग आइडिया कि बिल्ली के गले में घंटी बांध दो. क्या है? लिस्ट देन एलिमिनेट. आइडिया बहुत जबरदस्त है. लिस्ट देन एलिमिनेट, व्हाट डू यू मीन? दैट यू कंटेन ए लिस्ट. इट सेज दैट you a list containing every hypothesis. Start karo. I mean, just now we have told about a new word that is called the version space. What is version space? All the hypotheses that are actually consistent with my data. So my data is given to you. Lot of hypotheses in our hypothesis. Lot of hypotheses are there. I am going to pick those hypotheses which are actually correct with my data. With respect to my data, they are consistent. Consistent means for all the positive example, these hypotheses say positive. For all the negative examples, it say negative. So if I create a set, that set is called the version space. It is the name of that particular set. So initially, if no training examples is there, so initially let's assume that your database is empty. Your database is empty. Then all the hypotheses are consistent. Okay. So we start by this. We tell that we start by that version space is all the hypotheses inside the space. Okay, then one by one, I'm going to consider the example x and what is the cx, because cx is provided to me, na, y, the value of y that is provided inside the data. So now in my database, one by one, I am going to consider each one by one, I am going to consider each training example, and then remove all the hypotheses from h, from the those hypotheses which actually are not consistent with this particular training example. I am going to remove this one by one. So what would happen that I'm considering this, removing some of them, considering this, removing some of them, considering this, removing some of them. When all the things are considered, then the remaining one actually are the good one for me. Then those who would be inside, those would be the all the set containing all the correct hypotheses. Good idea. So in this way, we can create the version space. Is it a good idea? Answer is yes or no. The idea is fine, there is no problem, but the idea is not good. Idea is fine, but it is not good. Why it is not good? Because we know that this space is infinite. The idea is very good, but this space is this space is infinite. How can we contain all the items into the infinite space in one where? However, whenever we say that we have a hypothesis space, we don't create all the items. We can verify that whether the item is there or not. We don't have this complete set. We don't have this set. We know that given the item, we can tell that whether it is there or not. But we don't create this list because this list may be infinite. It may contain infinite number of items, very huge number of items. So this space, this algorithm is actually theoretical interest only, and we cannot go ahead with this. Everybody is okay with my understanding. So we cannot go ahead with this kind of setting. Can anybody tell yes? Or you have any problem? Now I want to ask a question. Whether this idea is okay? Idea is correct? Yes or no? In this way, we can create the version space. It can create version space. The question is this, that can it create the version space? Yes or no? Everybody. Yes, it can create. Na? Why don't you, why you are not writing yes? Yes, it can create. But whether the idea is good, answer is no, not a good idea, because the space is very large. So the idea is not workable. The problem is this. Next idea is the candidate elimination algorithm. So this is an important algorithm that we are going to see, and it is going to give you a very good handle on that. So actually, it says, it is very interesting, and the idea is very interesting. It says that since you know that there is an ordering. Okay, for example, let's assume that we have a natural set of natural number. Okay, so natural number contains infinite item. But if I say that items which are, if I say that I have two values, for example, low is equal to 100 or high is equal to 500. So that's it. Only two values. With the two values, by specifying these two values, how many values are there in my set? If I have a set and instead of specifying all the items, I use these two things to specify that what are the items over there, low and high. So how many values I am going to use to specify the values, but how many values I am specifying into the natural number? Can you tell me? Can you tell me how many values I am specifying? 401 values I am specifying. 100 to 500. There are 401 values I am specifying. Okay, Shashwat. So thank you. So in using only those two values, and if I want to use these, specify these many values, so increase this value. Only two values I am going to specify these many values. Okay. So this is an interesting idea, and this is a workable idea. Looks like that intelligent way. So it says that I'm going to maintain a boundary, general boundary G and a specific boundary S. I'm going to maintain these two boundaries. This is specific. It is specifying more. This is general. It is specifying lesser things. So let's assume that general and specific boundaries specified. These are the two limits. Okay. So I by myself I have written the question in such a way so that it becomes okay for you to tell that if these are the two limits, if these are the two limits, which are the items inside this? Can you tell me any item? For example, let me consider these two things. Okay, let me consider this thing, sorry, and this thing. So you see that Sunny is there and Sunny is there, it must be there. Hmm. Sunny is here and Sunny is here, and then what is in between? Because here is a warm and strong, and here nothing is specified, so I can remove any of them. So it is specific. Less specific thing I can create by specifying less. I can say that Sunny question mark strong question mark. You see, this hypothesis is also inside this particular set. If I specify that this is the most specific, most general boundary and a specific boundary, these two things I specify, and using these, specifying only these three things in this set, this item is also there. But however, I have not written this. This concept is clear to everybody? Miloni? Miloni? No? Yes? Great. So you can generate many of them, okay? Such as this one, such as Sunny, question mark strong, this Sunny, warm, this. You can generate all these things. So I am specifying only the boundary, but in between, whatever the things are, they are there. So this is a better idea, because now the only problem with that algorithm was this, that whenever something was coming, I was inside the big problem. I cannot evaluate all of them. I cannot store this. But now using this boundary, I can use this. Everybody is happy with that? Say yes or no. Everybody is happy with this idea? Yes. Okay, so I would not go beyond this, but I would just let you know that there is a version space representation theorem that actually we will discuss tomorrow, that tells that if we are actually going to maintain the things in this way, that a general and a specific boundary are maintained, then if you find out anything between here, then it is also inside, it also lies inside the version space. It is just like that there is a proof that I wanted that if there is a low and high number, if I find out number over here, then this number belongs into that particular set. So that proof, there is a small proof, so that you becomes okay. Then we would try to see that how to maintain that particular set, and this is the algorithm for that we would be discussing into the next class. Both the things would be discussing next class, and then we would go ahead with small other